G'day and welcome to the latest edition of Rugby League Insider. We do it all thanks to the very good people at Fanatics TV. We're live on the YouTubes. If you want to tune in via the podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, all good retail outlets. Now, along for the ride today, the Queenslander who somehow left his godfather, Rowdy Shearer, out of our top 5 wingers since 1980 because everybody was asking about it last week. Matty Vautin, how are you, Cobber?
Hello, James. Are you fired up about leaving Rowdy off?
Mate, you know what? I actually had mates who are mine who are Manly fans.
Yep.
They were outraged.
Were they
were
really?
Like, mate, how's he left Rowdy off?
In my defence, Rowdy was a handy winger. However, he was also a handy fullback and he was a pretty good 5'8". So I would put him in the utility back top 5 when we do that.
Not a bad smother, but
Yep.
you know what? Nah, still doesn't fly. He's your godfather. You should have had him in there.
That's true.
And the bloke who has got one of the best names in this podcast wrought, Brandon Savage, B-Sav, Savage.
Savvy B.
Flying off the top turnbuckle as always. How are you, mate?
Very good. Hugo Savala, I like to call myself sometimes.
Hugo Savala. Tell you what, that's a shock and slide on Hugo, mate. Leave him out of it. He's unlucky he's not the Roosters team at the moment. I'll tell you what, he had a breakout season last year, Hugo. But, mate, good to have you on board again. How are you travelling, Cobber?
Yeah, pretty good. Been a pretty big week in terms of round 3. It feels like we're into the flow of things and rugby league is underway. It feels like that the news cycle just keeps on going.
We didn't go to Viva Las Vegas, but I tell you what, I'm getting a little bit Confucius with the rounds. Like we're heading into round 3, but because it was round 1, then it was round 1 again, then it was round 2. Just found myself yesterday. I was like, hang on, what are we? Yeah, no, we're heading into round 3.
Yeah,
So
I forgot the Dogs are even in the competition because I haven't played in 3 weeks or something.
well, I'll tell you what, Bronson Cherry certainly let everybody know that they are still around. And on Bronson Cherry, we're going to get to that a little bit later, but Shane Flanagan has been in touch and he has had the red pen out and confirmed that the Dragons are definitely not in for Bronson Cherry. So he won't be heading to the Red V. I thought that was a little bit of a very good fit. I thought it made a lot of sense, but Flano has since had the gurney out.
Did he say why?
Nah, he just sent me text.
No, okay.
So, mate, just to let you know, Dragons aren't interested in Bronson Cherry. So you can put the pen through that one. Bronson won't be there supposedly, but look, you never say never in rugby league. Trust me. A lot of swings and roundabouts always on the agenda. Now, speaking of the agenda, let's rip into things. And Madge swings the axe and also defends his no BS approach at Red Hill. So Gemmet Shibasaki really struggled on that left edge with Ezra Mam against the Eels in round 2. What do we make of this, boys? Matty, I'll come to you first.
Well, he did struggle, but I feel like Ezra Mam actually struggled more. Somehow Ezra Mam's kept his spot and Shibasaki's gone back to the bench. The interesting part of it I've found is that Shibasaki's been dropped to the bench and not completely left out of the team. So it's almost like Madge hasn't exactly gone to him and said, oh, we need you to go play Q Cup or whatever and get your defence right. He's demoted him but not fully demoted him because, as you know, players who are on the bench, they can't go and play Q Cup. They have to stay in the NRL side. So I find that a bit strange. That said, Dean Mariner gets his opportunity. Grant Anderson gets an opportunity. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. They come up against a red-hot Storm side. I don't see them winning. I would love to see them just go back to the basics and just play 80 minutes. So far, they have played probably 30 minutes out of 160 so far. I'd just like to see them go back to the basics and try and get the little things right.
Tell you what, the only video they should have watched this week was the opening 20 minutes against the Eels because they shot themselves out of a cannon, were clinical, were ruthless. Everybody was on, everybody was dialed in, but the rest of it was a bit of a comedy of errors. Brandon, I'll come to you about Gemmet Shibasaki. I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a roller coaster ride for Gemmet. He's on a train and trial at the beginning of last year. I think he was pretty close. Did he go and have a stint in Japanese rugby, or he was pretty close to he was almost lost to the game, basically.
Yeah.
Madge has given him a throw of the dice. I think he came in on $1,000 a week. Off the back of that, he wins the super factor of winning a premiership, making his State of Origin debut, winning a State of Origin series, and then making his Test debut, featuring in all 3 tests for the Kangaroos against England over in the Ashes. It was a bumper season for Gemmett, but he was off last Thursday night.
He was. I feel like because he got made all these sides, the Queensland sides, the Australian sides, I think the coaches bought into the narrative as well. And it was a great story. He was a good player last year, but like for the Australian side, I thought Bradman Best was hard done by to get picked for Gambit Shibasaki to get the spot over him. So I think in a sense, these rep opportunities have kind of painted Gambit in a light that is very different to what he actually produced last year. He's very good, but actually at the international standard is quite a bit different to what he was actually producing. Australia did win. He did play well in the international series, so no doubt. I'm not shitting on his performances, but I think just the expectation has been way too high on him this year. I think dropping him is a good thing for him. Grant Anderson is coming from Melbourne and the standards are very high at Melbourne. So I think they would have wanted to get him into the side regardless at some point to try and, shore up that back line. But it's unfortunate that he's the guy that misses out, but I got no doubt he will come back into the side at some point.
Yeah, he's been the beneficiary of a humming Broncos side at the end of last year. Actually, James, I wanted to ask you this. Do you think I heard this on radio on the weekend. Do you think the Broncos actually got a little bit lucky with their run last year? At one point, they were sitting at 12th. They'd lost about 7 out of 8 games in the middle of the year. Then they went on a run, and their last 3 games, they come back from being down at halftime. No chance of winning. Well, not no chance of winning games, but Reece Walsh very much kept them in these games, and that's the reason they won. Do you think they got lucky?
I think you make your own luck in the NRL, Matty, and no, you can't fluke a premiership. You can even go all the way back to 2005 when the West Tigers won that title. A lot of people, even to this day, say, oh, they got lucky. They just went on a run. They fluked it. Bullshit. Complete garbage from my point of view. I don't think you can get lucky. Brisbane played absolutely off their heads in that final series. I don't think it was by design. But it wasn't by accident either. It was just the way that it unfolded. That game against that epic game where we had about 6 different finish lines against the Raiders in week 1 of the finals, that then gives them a week off because they finish 4th. The Raiders finish 1st. Instead of being into sudden death, they get a week off. They're the beneficiaries of that. And then I don't think Reece Walsh was the Lone Ranger for the Broncos throughout the finals. I feel like they were all dialed in. Madge, we're going to get to Madge in a minute, but it was a masterclass in terms of the way that Madge designed the game plans, had them rock hard fit, had players taking opportunities when they were presented. And Walsh is the classic and best example of that, but he wasn't the only one. To your point about Gemmett Shibasaki, Brendan, and Matty as well, I disagree with you that he was the beneficiary of the fact that the Broncos were going so well. I think he earned everything that he got last year. Maybe, and I'm not inside the inner sanctum at Red Hill, so I'm not privy to it. Maybe all that success, he might have just taken the foot off the accelerator just slightly. And so Madge has gone, right, Oscar, you're back to the bench. And I'm with you on the Ezra Mam scenario on that left edge. I thought it was more Ezra pirouetting and spinning around in circles that was forcing Gemmett to come in out of the centres, and that was the indecision, and that was where the glaring holes began to open up. Gemmett's paid the price.
One more thing on Shibasaki. Similar thing happened last year. He did get dropped for a game after an off-field indiscretion, and then he did come back, and he was great. He was one of their best players for the end of the year. So this could actually galvanize him, and this could be a good thing.
To be fair, he didn't play with Ezra Mam a lot last year. Ezra Mam was suspended till round 10 and then come off the bench quite a bit, got injured. So that's a new combination there. So whether Gehamed is actually going to be the long-term centre there. I think it might be premature dropping him, but yeah, he had a great year last year, and I think Brisbane definitely bounced back.
Let's talk Madge. Hang on. I'll stop you there. You
Yeah,
think
hang
Brisbane, are you saying bounce back against the Storm?
Oh, no, they're not winning against Storm. No,
I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, they'll be fine. The Broncos are going to be fine. There's some teething issues and some unforeseen left field teething issues at this stage of the season, but I've still got them finishing in the top 4 every day of the week.
So they've got the Storm this week, and then I think they've got Dolphins winnable.
That's big though. Up
It's
there.
big, yeah.
Dolphins is big up there. The Battle of Brisbane.
Winnable though, and then they've got the Titans winnable, Cowboys winnable, and then they've got the Dogs. I think in maybe round 7 or 8. So
Can't believe you're putting shit on your old club, the Titans, already, mate. Come on,
it's just
Don't you
winnable.
follow
I
'em?
said it's winnable. I didn't say it's a lock,
mate. Stick
It's not a
solid.
lock.
Stick solid. Hannah is building. They are building.
Yeah.
But on Madge, so I can't recall a premiership winning coach, and he's won 2 premierships in his career span in the NRL, being under more fire, under siege in terms of the criticism that is coming his way because they've dropped their opening 2 games of the season. Payne Haas joining the Rabbitohs, absolutely. Pulled the pin out of a hand grenade, and that has caused problems for them at Red Hill. Litany of headlines. What did I say?
Rel Hid.
Rel Hid. Look out. might be related to Matthew Maguire. The issues at Red Hill are glaringly obvious for everybody to see. So you got Payne leaving, then you got Pat Carrigan coming out, riffing about PNG out of left field, an injury to Adam Reynolds. Last week, it's his ribs. Look, he was named yesterday. That's smoke and mirrors. He won't be playing. It's going to be Ben Hunt, who wears the halfback jumper. Shiba-SACKED dropped. Ezra's in the side, but he's on the bench. Then everyone says put him back in. He's back in. Then his defence gets found out, and Parramatta take him to school. So I can understand Brisbane are the biggest club in the NRL. We can tap dance around it all we like, but they are. They are the biggest brand. They are the wealthiest club. They have the most drawing power in the competition at the moment, and they're the reigning premiers. But for Madge to be getting his coaching credentials torn apart the way that he is at this early stage of the season, I think it's out of control, Matty.
Yeah, well, they need a win.
Yeah.
They need a win just to shut everyone up. I'm kind of bored of all this, shitting on Madge, because I think he is a really, really solid coach. But they just need a win to shut everyone up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Back to the Shibasaki stuff. He hasn't re-signed either. So he's still on a minimum contract from when he's upgraded from that training trial. So this is really devastating for him. And you'd think that he'd want to bounce back for sure.
Mate, if he's off contract, I can assure you he will be aiming up in spades
100%.
because there's a collect on the line. And how many times do we see it when blokes are off contract? They produce their best football, and good on them. Brandon, I'm going to come to you because I know how much you love crunching numbers. The Storm are hunting grand final revenge, and the Broncos are a duck egg from 9 in their previous outings at Amy Park. I'm not sure when that dates back to. Do we know how long that is? I'll say 5, 6, 7 seasons. Keep it nice and wide open. Are they any hope?
I think they are. They obviously beat them in the grand final last year, so maybe there's some scars from Melbourne. But Melbourne have started this season on fire. So I don't actually see it happening, but I definitely see a world that Brisbane come out and absolutely just stamp their authority there and just flex their premiership muscle. But from the way the Melbourne have started, they're a different side to what they were last year. And I think it'll be tough to beat Melbourne down there.
Just on Madge, just to go back to it quickly. If you're
Geez, we're jumping around like cats.
Sorry.
No, you're all right. He's
I
back to
just got a question.
Shibasaki. Beep, beep. You're all right.
If you're Madge, how much free reign do they have to say, I'm not doing any more media? I just, let's you'd know better than
the Broncos,
the Broncos
players,
coaches,
or
all of them. As a club,
you can't
can
do
they
that.
can't do that?
No. You're pissing into the wind.
Really?
Bad idea. No.
Okay.
So you'll have
You make it worse, is what I'm.
Yeah, absolutely. You're poking the bear. Yeah. Don't go down that road. I'm trying to think of the last club who did it.
Well, I'm trying to think. Is Wayne Bennett kind of one of those guys who goes, "Oh, we're doing a very minimum amount of"? Because I just imagine he is that kind of coach.
Yeah. Clint Bennett does what he has to, right? The old gunslinger.
Yeah.
He does what he has to.
Yeah.
So it's bare minimum. He only ticks the boxes that are absolutely necessary. So all the coaches have to do one interview pre-game, and then they've got to front the media at the press conference after the game. It's up to them whether they want to do pre-game interviews with broadcasters. The more easygoing and open-minded ones are often very good about it. Wayne is pretty selective about how he handles it. In relation to the Broncos, the way that the Brisbane media is all over, they go to every training session of the Broncos. That's not happening at the Dolphins. That's not happening at the Titans. The poor old Titans would be flat out getting one reporter there a week. And it's certainly not happening at the North, or as much at the North Queensland Cowboys. But at Red Hill, you got Channel 9, you got Channel 7, you got Fox League. You have got every single network there, plus the print journos every day. So if you said, hey, guess what? All bets are off. We're not doing media. Red rag to a bull.
That'd be a bad idea for Madge as well, considering the media shit on him regardless of whether he does media or not anyway. At least he can be selective with what he says and can paint the narrative.
I like the way Madge is handling himself.
Yeah. I just imagine it gets
furor.
Exhausting doing so much of it and having this narrative of, you're not a good coach or whatever it is. It's just, I just imagine it gets so exhausting.
Oh, it'd be draining.
Yeah.
I think the more experienced coaches, if you look at Wayne Bennett, if you look at Craig Bellamy, Ivan Cleary's very good in front of the cameras these days. The more experienced coaches have a great knack of knowing how to disarm reporters, throw them a little wishbone or, a crumb, enough to placate them, but at the same time, not really inflame too much, or conversely, sometimes, and we've seen Madge do it very well, glass houses. Madge is also, and all the best ones are, they're master manipulators when it comes to the media. They know how to plant seeds. They know how to start fires. They know how to put itchy powder in the opposition's undies. And often they will. You won't always see quotes in the paper from the coaches who have been fueling the fire. But let me tell you, because I've lived it plenty of times firsthand, they've often got their fingerprints all over the ball. Speaking of which, we're going to go on to the other grand final rematch Friday night. I tell you what a bumper night Friday night. I'm just parking on the couch. Can't wait. I'll be ready to rumble by 6 p.m. And we've got the Roosters hosting Penrith at Allianz Stadium. And look, this obviously goes all the way back. You got to get the periscope out a little bit. And the binoculars, 2003.
Yeah.
We all remember that grand final, Skinny Byrne away down the wing and Scott Sattler. I was so happy for Sats that night because his old man John, everybody remembers John for being such a tough enforcer for the Rabbitohs in arguably one of rugby league's hardest eras of the game. And everybody remembers the fact that he played for South with the busted jaw in the grand final. And I've spoken to Scotty Sattler numerous times about how he went into the sheds afterwards and his old man's jaw, it was just falling apart. It was in pieces and he's having to put his teeth back in and all that sort of stuff. The senior Sats is that tough. He wanted to get picked for Australia. Like there was a Kangaroo squad being picked to go on tour after that. He's putting his teeth back in the dressing room because he still wants to get on the plane and go over to England. But he went to talk to the journos and they all started falling out all over the shop. And so I think thankfully he decided might be a better option, recovery. But on Scotty Sattler, I was very happy for Scotty the night that he played in that 2003 grand final. He deserved to win a premiership. And that play that he produced, I can still remember being a young journo and Peter Frelingos stood up in the media box at the time and he used to always like to have his binoculars when he was watching the game and he had the binoculars pressed up to the eyes and he just said, "Good luck, Sats." and Sats is running. And I got to say, when Chippy initially said that, I thought, oh, shit, yeah, no, Sats ain't getting there. And then I went, holy fuck, Sats is getting there. And it was one of the greatest cover tackles that we've ever seen. He still dines out on it to this day. But let's fast forward to now, and you got the Chooks got smashed. I think it was the Broncos carved them up in round 1 last year. They might have had 50 put on them. And everyone went, oh, wow, they're going to get totally rinsed by Penrith in round 2. They come out with a Band-Aid team, right, of all these young kids because a lot of other players were injured and suspended and whatnot, and they won. So I'm not prepared to write the Roosters off in terms of this game. Matty, how are you seeing it?
This is going to be so difficult for them. So how are they going to break this defense? I think you've said they've conceded 1 try in 2 games. So the Roosters are going to have to try something different. They're going to have to throw a bit of caution to the wind. I feel like it means, throwing the ball around a little bit, some offloads, playing out of their own 40, I think is probably I recall a game, I think it was last year or the year before, Manly played Penrith at Brookvale, and Manly absolutely just threw the game plan out the window, or their game plan basically was, let's throw it around, let's kick early, let's allow Daly to just play a bit of eyes up footy, and they ended up winning that game because I don't think Penrith were ready for it. So I see the Roosters maybe trying that, and if you've got a guy like Daly Cherry-Evans who can play that eyes up footy, I can't believe I've said it twice now. Eyes up footy.
Yeah, let's brush that. That's banned from now on. That's in the bin.
Okay. And Sammy Walker. If you guys got guys like that, I actually really like their chances. I give them a red up go.
To your point, you're right that the Roosters do have the creativity and the X factor, especially with Sam Walker in that side. I think we got a little window into how things are probably going to roll now that Daly's there last week. Daly took on more of a primary playmaker. He was driving the car, and Sammy was just picking his times. Reece Robson back. Brandon, you must be a big fan of this. That's huge. Look, busted hand in the preseason. I think the initial reports were he was going to be out 4 to 8 weeks or something like that. Well, he's halved the injury time and he's only missed 2 games. That's an enormous in for the Chooks.
Well, firstly, I had Benai Uelu in my Supercoach team, so it's not good for Benai Uelu owners in Supercoach. But Reece Robson...
That's your other podcast, man.
But Reece Robson coming into that side, he's perfect for them. He can defend well. He's a big body who could play in the middle at a pinch without playing hooker. So... he'll give clean service to Daly Cherry-Evans and Sam Walker, won't mess around in that rucks area. So I think he's a good thing for the team. I don't think he'll disrupt too much. If anything, he adds a lot to the middle, and he'll play big minutes, so it allows the forwards to rotate in and out and have shorter bursts, which is very good for their side.
Is it a bit of a risk having Reece Robson, who is the dummy half and coming off a hand injury, coming back so early? You've suggested maybe he'll needle up for it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I have seen players do it previously. Definitely it'll be needled. The risk is it's more of a state of origin thing. In origin, you always hear the ex-players talk about how blokes are trying to stand on your hand every time that you're getting up to play the ball. Doesn't happen as much, I don't think, in the NRL, but given that the opposition's going to know about it, you would never say never. So to answer your question, yeah, I think it is a little bit of a risk, but it shows you the magnitude of this game and the fact that the Roosters are prepared to roll the dice in that department. They want to see their best side on the field. And I'll tell you what, he's a little bit of a forgotten man, Reece Robson, because they were awful in round 1, the Chooks. They gave a great account of themselves in response last week against South Sydney. Now they get the New South Wales State of Origin hooker back. That spine, Robson, Cherry, Sammy Walker, Teddy's on fire. He has started like that captain's knock that he submitted last week. He was the everywhere man. You can see how much it means to him to beat South Sydney. He knows what that means to the boss of the club in Nick Politis. I love this game. I think it's closer than a lot of people think. I think the Chooks can challenge Penrith, give Penrith their first serious challenge for the season. That's how I'm seeing it.
03 grand final rematch. I was on the couch for the 03 grand final. I was 13 years old. I was cheering on the Roosters. I was a bit of a Roosters bandwagoner at the time because they were really good. 02, 03, 04.
When the old man had a couple of years.
Of course, yeah. It's obviously rubbed off on me. 03, what a game it was. James, how did you see the Roosters 03? Were you there? You were at the game, you said?
Yeah, I was at the game.
And how did you get home? Were you something about a team bus? Something about a team bus?
I know where you're going.
Here we go.
Yeah. No, that's a bit of an urban myth, that story, Matty. I can't confirm or deny anything about that. No, on a serious note, obviously, look, I was there. It was a cracking game. Panthers have been the best side all year. They'd won the minor premiership, but no one gave them a chance. Like I think the bookies, after about 5 or 6 rounds,
they lost their first 2 games.
Yeah, and they were coming off a spoon, I think, the year before or the year before that. So nobody gave them a chance. Nobody even had them in the top 8. And I'd tipped them in the paper to beat the Roosters in an upset. I was working for the Telegraph at the time, and I'd become very good friends with Craig Gower, Scotty Sattler, Trent Waterhouse, some of the Panthers players. So as they were going on this run, anyway, the game's played, and I've filed a yarn, and then afterwards I'm down in the sheds, and I went up to Gowie, who was the captain. I said, "Hey, Gowie, do you reckon I'm any chance of getting on the bus? You know, and I'll do a bit of an insight about coming back to."
Had you had a beer at this stage?
No, I hadn't.
Okay.
But I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll qualify all the background because it's important for accuracy.
Yeah.
So Gowie says, "Yeah, mate. Yeah, sweet. No, good as gold, mate. You're on the bus." I said, "Oh, mate, this is unreal." So I've rung the boss. I said, "Mate, I've already sent one yarn, but Gowie's offered us the opportunity. I can get on the team bus. I'll go back to the league." So he goes, "Mate, I love it. Awesome. Just make sure you're sweet in the morning, file, and then you can go and have a beer with the boys afterwards. Enjoy yourself." So anyway, as I got on the bus, mate, the scenes were unbelievable. They had to drive from Accor Stadium back out to Penrith. They had police escorts. The roads were blocked off. Parts of the road were blocked off. There were fans on the M4. The scenes were absolutely sensational because no one gave them a shot. No one had given them a chance. And Penrith hadn't had a lot of success at that stage. They'd only won one premiership in 1991. That was their second ever title. So anyway, long story short, we get back to the Leagues Club and things kick off. And then we kicked onto a fair few venues around Penrith. Might have been the Pioneer Tavern, a variety of other pubs, the Peachtree pub maybe, and a couple others. Anyway, by this stage, I sort of had the wobbly boots on a little bit. And I should qualify as well. I was a young bloke at the time. Don't do this, kids. If you're watching and listening, do not do what I did. Learn from my mistakes. So the Friday night I'd gone out. I think I was out around, Cargo Bar and all those sort of joints back in the day around Cockle Bay and Darling Harbour. Then the Saturday was Epsom Day. So I'd gone to the races, right, with a big group of mates, and we'd had a day at the track. Kicked on that night. So then the Sunday, I'm sort of a bit furry and spitting out fur balls and a little bit slim shady, and got to the game. That was all good. But then so when I've gone again, I'm actually on day 3, sort of heading into day 4. So anyway, needless to say, we learned a valuable lesson, Matty. I didn't file the yarn that I was meant to file. Paul Kent got sent out to rescue me, but unfortunately that also fell flat on the tarmac. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. And I got a kick in the ass when I got back into the office and got told, mate,
And if you're going to send someone, obviously Paul Kent's the best person for the job. Is that?
Yeah, look, back then Kenny was a gun columnist at the Telegraph.
Yeah, okay.
And I can confirm, I remember him arriving, he did do his absolute utmost to try and rescue me.
Yeah.
But by that stage, it was unsalvageable. So anyway, like I said, don't make the same mistakes as me, kids. We live and we learn.
File your stories, people.
File your yarns on time. no more it's a law. Sometimes it's a good idea. It is a very good idea. When you think you've had too many, just pull a handbrake, stop going full steam ahead.
Or we got ChatGPT these days. You can just, voice to text and get it done that way.
Shit, I wish I had that back in the day. That would have saved me. Wow. I could have done all sorts of stuff with that. Righto, shifting gears. And unless you've been living under a rock for the past week, you would know that Bronson Xerri has been axed to the New South Wales Cup. Anari Tuala is going to play right centre. So I've noticed since Cameron Ciraldo got into Canterbury Bankstown, you often see it when you go to the games. There's a mantra that is plastered all over the walls, inside the dressing room, even outside the ground in certain places. Club first, team second, individual third. Is this hardline approach? What do we make of this? Like, do we think that what Ciraldo's trying to do at Canterbury Bankstown is a good thing? Or when we've already seen Reid Marnie crack the shits and leave, Toby Sexton forced out, Jackson Tapine's a whole different kettle of gravy. And that's been settled now, I should point out. There was obviously a dispute that I think ended up in, might have been the Industrial Relations Court or something like that. That's been solved. Or that's been, whatever you call that, resolved. What do you make of what they're doing at the Doggies, Matty?
Yeah, I like it. All four of those stories are very different. The Bronson Xerri one's interesting. He was pretty good last year, right? Am I crazy? He was pretty good last year. And he had a quiet round one, I think it's safe to say, against the Dragons. So I do find this all a bit weird, a bit like, where's it kind of come from? Does he not like playing on the right? Is that part of the yarn?
That's the bullshit narrative that's getting spun, mate. I'm not buying that for a minute, right? So if you look at it, when he come through at Cronulla, he played on the right all the time. Like, that was where he was carving up, and when he was first getting talked up, he was a teenager at the time, and he was first being talked up. I think the Sharks, I'll try and get this right because I wrote the yarn, offered him a 5-year deal, $2.5 million. So it was $500 a season at the time. Now that's prior to getting banned for 4 years because he got busted. I think it was the gear or the Peppies or something like that.
2020 or something maybe.
Yeah. So he did 4 years, or he might have served the full. I can't remember if he did or he didn't serve the full 4 years, but he had to have time out of the game. Now, since he's been back, he's shot the lights out from my point of view. But I don't buy this bullshit narrative that, he's got the shits because he's had to go and play on the right-hand side of the field. It just, I'm not buying what they're selling there.
Yeah. Look, I played in the centres myself growing up, and obviously not in the NRL, but I do get the idea of being uncomfortable playing on the wrong side. But at the same time, Bronson Xerri was thrown a lifeline by the Bulldogs, so I think beggars can't be choosers in that respect. And he should just be happy to be playing first grade rugby league. It sounds like Gus has put a bit of a smother on it all, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's secretly behind the scenes working on some way to offload him. Where that is, I don't know. In the meantime, Bronson's just got to go back to New South Wales. He's too good to be playing New South Wales Cup. He's got to go back there, and I guess he's got to go work on his game, or he's got to go change his attitude, or it's hard to say because we're not really in the inner sanctum. I know Darcy is, so
She's doing a good job on you, Darcy, because I feel for her because she's getting jammed by me and Brandon in terms of, well, what do you think? What's going on here? And hang on, what are they saying about this? And it would be tricky because she's employed by the Bulldogs. So she's got to get the tone and the balance of that right, which I think she's doing a good job
100%.
of.
I listened
and then
she was good.
The other thing as well is it's just that the whole thing is a tricky scenario given he's probably not going to be there beyond the next month.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Flano's confirmed that he won't be at the Dragons, so you can put the pen through Red V being a part of Bronson.
Well, you tossed up Para as well yesterday. I think they could definitely use a centre.
I just joined the dots based on, Lomax is gone. They should still have some money. He's a strike centre. They need some speed, more speed in the back line. I love the idea of him being paired with the Fox. on the left side of the field. That could be
And
outstanding.
they've got someone moving on as well. Is it Sean Russell? Is he moving on?
Russell's going over to Perth. He's signed to go and play over there. Penasini's out injured at the moment for a month.
He's also a right centre as well, so he won't be going over to the right centre if he goes to Parramatta. He'll be playing left if that's the case. But I think with the Bulldogs as well, if they've cornered themselves into a weird situation here, because if they end up doing this Burton to centre and Sean O'Sullivan into the halves, Burton is a left centre and a left centre only. You can't put him on the right unless like you've got another left footer who's better than him that needs to play left centre. He is going to be handcuffed to that left centre. So if that happens, Stephen Crichton will have to go back over to the right, and then this situation just seems so redundant. It just seems like a ploy.
Yeah.
It's not a drama, though, for mine, Brandon, if Stephen Crichton does have to go back over to the right. He played there all of last season. He is one of those players, and it still surprises me. And I understand what you're saying, Matty, about, defensively, it can be a little bit different depending on which side of the field you're on. Stephen Crichton's good enough. He'll handle. You could pick Stephen Crichton at fullback, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility in all of this shake-up that's going on at Canterbury. So I think they're playing a lot of fantasy football. It's the most fascinating part, and you made a great point about Gus. Augustus is the best smotherer in the business, right? When it comes to front the cameras, nothing to see here, tickety-boo, play on 6 again at Belmore. He is one of the best in terms of just calming it all down, not showing anybody what sort of cards he's got. You'd hate to be playing poker against him. But we can all see that there's fires starting to burn at Canterbury Bankstown. They only got over the fires that were burning last year at the end of last season when they got bounced out of the finals back-to-back weeks. They still haven't won a final under Ciraldo. Now, all of a sudden this year, we're tinkering with the team after we've won the opening game straight off the bat. To me, I don't know. Look, I totally respect Cameron Ciraldo and Gus in terms of what they're trying to do, but it might not work. It could backfire.
Yeah, the win at all costs attitude could definitely backfire. Last year, Toby Sexton was so loved, so was Reid Marnie, and people within the club, who knows, is that the reason Josh Curran's leaving, because he didn't like how that situation played out? Like, they could lose key players in the future because this is happening.
I think it's good that it's happening at the start of the season rather than the way it played out last year with the Lachlan Galvin thing. That kind of happened a little too late in the year for mine. Also with Bronson Xerri, I hate to put shit on outside backs, but centers are different to playmakers. I think it's easier to find a good centre, Inari Tuala might be the answer, than it is to find or to change the halves. So firstly, start of the year. Secondly, outside back position. I don't think this is as much of a drama as it's being made out.
Well, I know Cameron Ciraldo is very hands-on as a head coach, right? So he's constantly got the laptop out. If he's not down at training, physically on the field, watching everything, running an eye over everything, implementing all the defensive structures, whatever attacking shapes and plays that they might be working on. But I do know that there was a training session not that long ago where Ciro was unsighted and so was Bronson Xerri, right? So the two of them are off. And I think that's perhaps the beginning of where this whole kind of story has started. That's very unusual. Cameron Ciraldo is normally at every single session. So for him to miss an entire field session, that tells me that this started some time ago. I don't know. It's hard to separate the fact from the fiction in terms of what the actual crux of the issue is. It feels as though maybe they're not happy with his attitude. I'm not buying the right centre blow up so much. So we've got to wait and see how it shakes out. But the tip is I don't think he's there beyond the next month.
Yep.
Are you on board with that, Brandon?
Yeah.
Well, come out over the last sort of 24 hours. It was broken on NRL 360. The West Tigers are monitoring the situation. Benji's agent, hang on, this is a bit Confucius, so bear with me. Benji's agent at the moment's suspended, right, for an
Who's that?
off-field thing. Matt Desira. So he's serving a suspension at the moment. But his business partner is a bloke called George Christodoulou, right? So George has taken over handling Benji's affairs, and it's the same go with Xerri, right? So Desira is normally Bronson Cherry's agent, but now it's Christodoulou. This is where Gus somehow got tangled into a little thing on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days on social media. People are trying to say, well, hang on a minute, Gus has spoken to the agent's banned. And I don't know where that all ended up, to be honest, rat's ass. But it's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, Tigers.
The Tigers are monitoring it. We've said Parramatta. Look, there's a list in the paper today of clubs that might or might not be interested. Bottom line, he's a damn good player. I still think he's absolutely got a contribution to make at NRL level. Perth won't be going in, I have been told. I've sussed that out. I'm told that they're not going to be going down that road. So we wait and see. We'll see how he goes in New South Wales Cup. It's a weird scenario. He's got to go down. So they're playing Thursday, aren't they, Canterbury? So they play tomorrow night, and then the New South Wales Cup's not till the weekend, is it? Yeah. I think they're playing on Saturday, New South Wales Cup. Yeah.
Interesting.
Brandon, we're going to do the Wednesday wind-up. And we had a bit of fun yesterday because and we should clarify the Wednesday wind-up. It's a segment where we come off the back fence or we can have a bit of a laugh about something. You can launch out of the bullpen, whatever's getting under your grill, have a bit of a crack at it. And this caught my eye yesterday was that PVL has once again got under the skin of the Mexican pinball code down south because he's got them chasing their own tails. Once again, he's made a list in the Herald Sun newspaper of the top 50 most influential people in Mexican pinball, and PVL's number 12. Bugger me, I love this. The journo who wrote it, good on him. So he's not only forced his way into the top 50 most influential in Mexican pinball, but he has almost made the top 10.
Right.
That's big. The journo who wrote it, quote unquote, and that's Mick Warner, I should clarify. The NRL Supremo has run rings around the AFL since COVID. Many of his bold initiatives, from Magic Round to Vegas, have been copied by the AFL. Now, this would have seriously ruffled the feathers of all the soy latte drinking boffins, right, at wherever Mexican Pinball headquarters is. And it would have been about as well received as it was St. Patrick's Day yesterday, would have been about as well received as a pub in the Rocks running out of Guinness on St. Patrick's Day. It would have been a lead balloon. What do we make of this, boys?
Well, to make it to number 12, wow. I would have thought, maybe 40s. So I wouldn't have thought it'd even make the list. Why do they care? Like, why are they?
Well, I think because they do care.
I know.
That's how good a job.
Yeah.
That's how good a job Peter V'landys and Andrew Abdo are doing, right? Is that I think secretly the Mexican Pinball Code look at Vegas, right? It looks so awesome on television, right? Like the scenes and the vibe and the Marbo and everything about it, right? It is unreal. And so I just think that they're getting envious. And I've even heard some of their most well-respected and influential commentators say that. Go, look, I've got to be honest, I'm looking at Vegas and I'm getting a little bit rattled.
Getting some India vibes.
I'm getting green with it.
India?
What's
Aren't they going to India? Isn't
get that India. Apparently, I don't know how that's gonna go down. The foray into Mumbai and New Delhi. I'm not sure they're going to be booting that many balls around there. But good luck to them. Whatever's floating their boat. But the point of the Wednesday wind up is just what a great job the current NRL administration are doing. PVL's up the top. And then he's got some good people around him in Andrew Abdo and plenty of other support.
We're in their heads, James. We're in their heads down there, aren't we?
Yeah, which is good because under previous administrations, we used to just chase our tail and dither and pontificate and then try and copy them, and it was very boring and predictable.
But the one thing I do love about PVL, whenever he does have an interview or whatever, he is not afraid of having a shot at the AFL.
Loves it. It's like sport.
I love hearing that. a bit of competition. So nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, what does he call it? The cornflakes competition. Oh no, that's
that was
R360.
No, that was R360. No, I think he had a shot at him today in the paper and said because they were talking about NRL crowds have increased significantly over the opening couple of rounds compared to this time last year. And he said, "Oh, what's happening with the other code? Have they started yet? Have they had round one? Are they playing?"
To be fair, I'm not in that world. I wouldn't know if they've started. Not yet.
I agree with you guys.
Yeah,
they have started,
right.
but it's been very quiet. Like I think there's been a lot of blowouts in that code as well. So
Right.
I don't think it's had the greatest of starts in terms of exciting games.
You know what's great about NRL compared to AFL? Like there's so many talk shows and podcasts around NRL and stuff. I've seen nothing from the AFL. There's no narratives around it. There's just the games and the people love it. And I envy them for their crowds they have. But just everything else around rugby league is just so tribalistic. And
this will be the last thing that we're saying about the Mexican pinball for
You
today,
refuse to
I
say
promise,
AFL. You
said that yesterday, didn't
this
you?
is Rugby League Insider. So I was going down, the Melbourne Storm were in a final. I think it was week one of the finals one year, and they were playing on the Saturday. It must have been, it was a final.
I think it was
to get
last
into.
year.
No, this was going back a few years, but they were in a final to get into a prelim, right? The Storm, and they were playing Cronulla. It was a couple of years ago. So I've gone down and I thought, you know what? I'm going to actually go to a Mexican game and see what it's like. I want to see what all the fuss is about, right?
Had you never been? Had you never been?
I hadn't been,
okay.
not to a big final at the MCG,
Right.
right? So I thought, okay, well, they're always going on about how awesome this is. I've got to go. I've got to experience it. I'll go and have a look. So a few of my cousins are down there out in the bush, so they've come in and we've gone to the game. And mate, I sat there the whole time watching whatever the NRL was on my iPhone, right? The game was terrible. It was a complete blowout. I think I can't even remember who was playing. It might have been Geelong and the Swans. Someone went to like a 10-goal lead and it was all over within the first 25 minutes. We left well before half time. I'm watching the footy on my iPhone the whole time. But it spun me out. The crowd wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Like I was expecting, I've been to Bay 13 back in the old days to watch Viv Richards smashing sixes all over the MCG.
I was just about to
that
say,
was wild,
the
right?
cricket
Like
crowds.
that was awesome. This was a little bit tea and scones and cucumber sandwiches, and it was. I couldn't wait to get out of there.
I've been to one Mexican, or was that what we're calling it? One Mexican match in my life. I think it was the Swans played Fremantle at the SCG. Again, it was a blowout. I was pretty bored. I think the only reason I went was for a bird, and I think I was successful. Brandon? Thoughts?
I'm
glad we clarified that. I'm glad we clarified that.
No, it's actually funny you say that because I've seen things on TikTok that the AFL are trying. It can't be doing that well because they're trying to get younger people there. They're doing like mingling events at the AFL for single people. So like they get all these hot TikTok chicks. Yeah. They get these hot TikTok chicks to promote these events to come and do like a what is it called? Like a speed dating thing at
the games.
At the game. So that's what they're doing at the moment. So it can't be doing that well.
I'll tell you what, they are battling if they're doing that. No, look, normally in fairness to them, I know we're taking the mickey and having a good laugh about them, but in fairness to them, they do normally get bumper crowds, but that's a different gravy shout, setting up the speed dating. Are we sure Anthony Seibald's not involved? Because we know he likes a 7-minute speed dating review meeting. That's with his playing group, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. 7 minutes is too long.
That caused a lot of ructions at the Manly Seagulls last year, which segues us nicely into what we're going to talk about next, which is too soon to sack Seibs. So Manly, look, they were okay against the Raiders. I don't think anybody was throwing the baby out with the bathwater after that game, but they were insipid, putrid, insert adjective here, against a Newcastle team that lost their best two playmakers prior to halftime. Brookvale Oval, sunny Sunday afternoon, sunny Sunday afternoon, I beg your pardon. And the Manly old boys have got a loud voice. They've been banging the drum in this space for a long time now. They don't want Anthony Seibald to continue as the Manly head coach. So he's had 3 seasons. They finished 12th. They finished 7th and made week 2 of the finals. And then they finished 10th again last year. Matty, you're up and about and out loud and proud on the beaches. How are you seeing this?
Oh, writing's on the wall. I think it's only a matter of time. I think that quietly the Manly front of house or back of house, however you want to put it, will be in search of a coach now. Or for me, it's about finding the right coach. And whether if Seibs sees out the season. So look, as I said, I think the writing's on the wall for Seibs. Yeah, it's just a matter of when. As I said, I think the head honchos at Manly be looking for a new coach. It's more a matter of who they get and when they get him in. It's all well and good to throw up all these names, but it's about getting the right coach. And Manly's a weird one because you saw this a few years ago with Trent Barrett. Some of the big dogs above the coaches tend to like to have their input. That may have changed in the last few years. But Manly's kind of, it's just a unique club in that everyone kind of has their 2 cents, and the coach never quite is the head coach. He's never quite in as much charge as you think he is. As I said, I think that's probably changed in the last few years. I would really like to see Seibs stay there, not necessarily as the head coach. I think he's got a really sharp footy brain, and I've heard him speak on a couple of podcasts before. I think he's got a really nice almost life outlook, and I think he'd be a handy acquisition as like a director of coaching. But yeah, the writing, as I said, is on the wall.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've warmed
There's no
to
doubt he's a
Seibs.
highly intelligent bloke, and the way that he views the game, he's got a good take on things. There's no questioning that. But I think where he's tying himself in knots to a degree is however that message is being received by the players. And I'm only saying this based on what was coming out of the Manly playing group last year. It's well known that senior players at Manly were unhappy with Seibs as the head coach last year, and they voiced that to the media. They leaked about the fact that, you know, those 7-minute meetings and mid-season, I think it was a mid-year performance review style of a setup, which I think from memory came off the back of a loss. There's no doubt he's an intelligent guy. I don't know whether head coaching is his caper or not, or maybe more of an assistant role. I don't know about a director of footy. Look, he's good with people. That could work. Where were you going with that, Brandon?
Yeah, I just love how he goes about things. And I think that I've heard multiple journos across a couple of podcasts say that the Trbojevic brothers have smoothed over their relationship with Seibs. So the Daly Cherry Evans drama obviously caused a rift in the camp and all that sort of stuff. The fact that they are on good terms now just means that they might not agree with his coaching style, but as a bloke, they really respect him. So I'd love to see him kept at the club in some aspect, because I think he's been harshly done by in terms of the Broncos saga and how that happened. Yeah, they came last, but if you're a professional athlete, you're playing for your mates, not your coach when you're on the field. So
Nah, disagree.
No?
Disagree.
Yeah, I
Come on,
disagree with
man.
that too.
The Broncos had the best roster in the comp. That year,
Yeah.
Joey Johns tipped them to win the comp.
Yeah.
Okay? They won 3 games. They won 2 at the start, then COVID halted the competition. Then they won 1 out of their next, I can't remember how many games ultimately that they ended up playing, but that's the first time in the history of the Broncos that they have ever received a wooden spoon. To be brutally honest, I'm a bit surprised Seibs jumped back into the hot seat as quickly as he did after getting scarred the way
everyone was surprised. I didn't see it come from a mile away.
Yeah, look, I mean, and look, he had success initially at the Bunnies. So he comes in year 1 at the Bunnies, Madge gets sacked, and he had success, right? But he had Sam Burgess, he had Greg Inglis, he had John Sutton at the peak of their powers. And the South side was a little bit busted after Madge. They were pretty broken down. They needed a new voice, and he provided that. And they made a prelim, and they went very close. Ultimately, they didn't get there. Got the Dally M Coach of the Year that year. But then he went and signed with the Broncos because they came knocking with a deal that he couldn't refuse. 6 years, I forget the exact terms of it, but it was a shitload of dough. And he couldn't knock it back. And that's fair enough. I understand that. But to say that it wasn't his fault at Brisbane, no.
Yeah, fair.
You can't, mate. Not with their resources. Red Hill is the envy of every single coach in the game. If you gave every coach in the NRL a pick of the board, you can pick any club. I guarantee you 90% of them would take the Broncos because of the setup and the infrastructure that the joint enjoys.
Yep.
How it shakes out at Manly, I don't know. I mean,
they need a new voice. I just think they've been there he's been there 3 years.
yeah.
I just think they need a new voice. Simple as that.
I'll say this, they've never had a wooden spoon, right? So the Seagulls came into the competition 1947.
This will be the year.
Very, very proud club. Are you declaring that? Well, Darcy's declared it. Did you declare it too?
We both did, I guess.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I got some money riding on it too.
Yeah, righto. Oof, ouch. No investments here. But how it shakes out, look, they've never had a wooden spoon. And they definitely won't be wanting to get one now. But just the way that they played, and it's only early doors, it is only round 2. But I think the fact that there was that much noise coming out of the joint last year, they've had a whole summer to try and quell that. To your point about whatever other podcasts you're listening to, mate, throw them out the window, right? Because if fair income, if they've patched it all up and it's all hunky-dory and ring-a-ring-a-rosy, well, why are they playing like they played last Sunday?
Yeah.
Because that, to me, smacked of a side that aren't particularly invested in whatever the message that's getting delivered is.
Yep.
A lot of them weren't having a go. And the Ruben Garrick intercept is the case in point.
If I can just give you shed one little piece of light for you.
Sure.
2021, Manly begin the season 0-4 and they get smashed.
I know where you're going with this.
Each of those 4 games, they came back and they won something like 16 of the next 20 games or something. Ended up in the 4th spot. So there is hope. However, there's no Des this time. There's no Foreign. There's no DCE. Tom Trbojevic is not a shadow of himself. He's playing all right. I'll give him that. But
he looks good.
He does look
Tommy
good.
looks cherry.
He does
right.
look not 2021 Tommy, but yeah. So there's still hope.
Yeah, it's 2026 Tommy. Quick play the balls,
Yep.
6 again. It's catered for Tommy.
Yeah.
And they'll be 1-3 after this weekend against the bye.
That's bad. That's not good at all. You shouldn't be laughing at that. I'll tell you what, they got a tough week the following week though, because it's a DCE Cup. He comes back to Brookie. I'll tell you one thing that did catch my eye that I wasn't really buying was that there's a theory that if you make a coaching change now, that all of a sudden your season's a complete write-off. That's a load of bullshit, right? No, it is, because I was thinking back over the years. I remember Brian Smith got sacked at Parramatta in 2006. And to be fair, it was a pretty similar set of circumstances. He'd had a lot longer tenure at Parramatta. They'd made a grand final at one point and got rolled by Joey Johnson, Ben Kennedy in 2001, Danny Badiris. One of the great games, 24-0 at half time. But Jason Taylor came in as the caretaker coach, right? And he picked Jared Hayne and a couple other kids out of reserve grade. Parramatta went on a run and made the finals. So I don't buy this BS spin that, no, you can't make a change now because it's going to be too uncomfortable and you're just putting a pen through the entire season. Not necessarily. If you get the right voice in there, Manly's squad, Manly's top 30 roster is a finals roster every day of the week. You look at that back line, the strike power that's available there with Tolu and Tommy and Lehigh Hopewadi, Jamal Fogarty is, the gun signing. It's a damn good team. They should be playing better than what they did last Sunday.
That's why I say it's about getting the right voice in, and it just depends on when they want to do that. They might already be doing it right now. They might be interviewing, Willie Peters or a Michael Ennis or whatever. And does that disrupt the playing group right now to a point where they can't make finals? You know what I mean? Like it could be a bit of a downward slide before an upward slide with a new coach. That's all I'm saying.
I'll throw a left field one in, right? And people say you have to have played at Manly and understand what makes Manly tick, the politics. It is, you said it earlier, it is a unique style of a setup. I think it's definitely beneficial, right? Which is why somebody like a Matt Ballin, who's won a premiership under Michael Maguire at the Broncos, who's coached in Queensland State of Origin with Billy Slater, that makes a lot of sense, and that's who the Manly old boys are pushing for, right? They want Matt Ballin in there. I would even be prepared to go a little bit more left field, Sam Burgess, right? Based on if you're going to do it now, right, he's the sort of bloke who can come in, command the room, have an authoritative voice immediately within the group and get a reaction, bang, tomorrow. It's left field, probably it's a snowflake's chance in hell of happening probably, so it's a Hail Mary up the hallway.
Yeah.
But
I think Matt Ballin's probably
that makes
better,
more sense.
because Jason King and Matt Ballin, Jason King's obviously is he the CEO? I say?
He is the CEO now.
So they've had history together, and
Kieran Four, an assistant coach as well. So
yeah, he's running the water.
Yeah.
Tell you what, good bloke to have running the water, Foz. What a player he was. Mate, I don't reckon a half played tougher into the line consistently over the course of their career than Foz. Mate, he was I
played against him.
Did you? I remember what was he like to play against? Put a clinic on?
He did, yeah. He was playing fullback at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Who was he playing for?
He was playing for North. This is like, we're talking development squads here.
Yeah.
So he was playing for North Sydney because he was an Asquith junior.
Yeah.
I was playing for Manly, and yeah, he was untouchable.
Was he?
Yeah.
As a fullback?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, he picked up some gun skills coming through along the way, because
Started as a centre, didn't he?
Well, no, when he broke in, he might have come on in the centres one day. Desi was coaching. But I remember then he very quickly was wearing the number 6 jumper. And I think someone came out and said this kid will probably be the best 5'8" Manly's had since Bozo. And look, Cliffy, you got to have Cliffy in there as well. But Foz is on the podium every day of the week. He was an absolute machine of a player. Good to have him in there. I don't know how much of a role he's got at this point. I'd be bumping him up from the water boy. I'd be getting him into something a little bit busier, because he's got a lot to offer. Now, contract crystal balling. We're going to do a little bit of riffing here, because we haven't already talked the leg off the potbelly stove and then gnawed it back on enough. So I was looking at the teams this morning, and I looked, I'm a Tiger supporter, so obviously I'm looking at the game against Souths, and I love the fullback matchup, Jahream Bula up against Jai Gray, and obviously Latrell's going to feature in the game. He's playing in the centres now. But it got me thinking about Jahream Bula, and Jahream Bula has got this weird clause in his contract where there's an option both ways, right? So he's signed for this season, but for next year, the Tigers either they can take up the option, right, in the Tigers' favour, but they have to take it up by May this year. So the clock's ticking. That means Jahream goes into next year's cap, $900,000. I'd pay that every day of the week. Where do I sign? To me, that's a good deal. He's a damn good player. Or conversely, the option that's in Jahream's favour, which can be taken up after May, I think is at around the $800,000 value. And that means that he stays beyond that. Now, where typical rugby league, where it gets, what's the best way to word this? Where it gets a little bit two-step shuffle is he's changed agents. So the agent who negotiated that contract, Liam Ayub, now works at Canterbury Bankstown in, I think it's development. And then you've got a new bloke who's come in, Isaac Moses, right, who tore the West Tigers apart last year and took Lachlan Galvin from the West Tigers to Canterbury Bankstown. Now, Jahream Bula has been spotted at a Bulldogs game. Well, he was there. He was sitting in the area where all the players' families sit, the Canterbury Bankstown players' families. I remember because I was there and wrote the yarn at the time. I remember going, shit, I don't like that much. And they tried to smother it. I think his wife plays for Canterbury Bankstown. They tried to smother it and say, hang on a minute. She was playing in the earlier game. But look, he remains great mates with Lockie Galvin. And if I'm the West Tigers, I want to get Jahream Bula's option taken up yesterday, because I feel as though what they're building at the moment, there's some really good signs.
Yeah.
And he's a crucial part of that.
I would get that signed now.
Yes.
Right now.
Correct.
I don't read a lot into him being in the stands at a Dogs game. That probably happens a lot more than you think with a lot of players. I get that signed right now. Do not delay. The one thing I've loved about the Tigers this year is how quiet they've been. Usually by this time of a year, there's some sort of stories broken, some drama in the boardroom, this or that. You know, I think the most we've had is Leichhardt Oval's been dumped on by Reedy, but that's about it.
Back in your box, Peabody. That's out of line. No, the boardroom bullshit's still going on. The purple dreadlock Dennis.
Oh, that was
Sementis.
November. That was November last year. Is it still going on?
It's recent. It's like in the last couple of weeks. The purple dreadlocks.
That's their season. They're
Dennis
done.
Sementis is still in the headlines. He's been in the headlines. I think they're all asking for a bump up or something like that. The Holman Barnes, the ownership group, they want to give themselves a pay rise. And then there was another squabble recently.
Well, it's been quiet enough.
You know the good thing?
Yeah.
Just get out of the way with all that stuff. The playing group and the coaching staff haven't let it distract or come anywhere near what they're doing. And I love what Benji's doing in terms of he has altered his approach and he's altered his persona, and it's for the better. Like I like the more serious Benji. Look, he's still going to have a laugh at times. That's his personality. I'm sure that he's still having plenty of a good giggle with the players at the appropriate time, right? But I like the hard-edged Benji because I reckon he needed that given what he's facing in terms of on the field with the West Tigers.
900 for Jahream Bula, I'd pay it. I mean, you're paying on a little bit of potential rather than performance.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah,
100%, to keep him
worth
off the open market, right? So because he's changed agents, if the Tigers take up this option, that means that his previous agent, I think, gets the sling, right? Whereas if they blow that contract up and try and negotiate a new deal at the West Tigers, the new agent, Isaac Moses, gets the sling. Or conversely, if Isaac Moses decides to bugger it, I'm going to get him out of Concord full stop, and he takes him somewhere else, well, then all of a sudden he's copping the commission rather than the previous deal that was
Does
already
Isaac Moses have a lot of Tigers players? Is there bad blood with this Lockie Galvin?
It's horrendous.
Is it?
Oh, it's fucking horrendous.
Oh,
it's off tap. Like, look, it might have eased a little bit because Richo pissed off at the end of last year. So Richo ended up, Dennis the Menace and the board got the better of Richo, and he went, you know what? Nah, I've done my best with this club. And look, it's a shame because he's a seasoned administrator, Richo, and he does know what success looks like. I think Benji will miss Richo. I don't know the new bloke who's in there now. I know he spent some time at the Panthers, and I think he spent some time in the A-League as well. I've heard he's a good fella, and I wish him well. But it's a tough job running a club that hasn't played finals since 2011. It's damn hard. And you're going to get judged whether you like it or not when you're in the front office. You're going to get judged on field success as well as any of the stuff that you might be setting up corporately and all the rivers of gold that might be flowing through in terms of sponsorships. It's the on-field results that you get judged on. That's why I like Benji after Richo's departure, laying down the law the way that he has, because previously that was Richo who was kind of having to play that bad cop role. Now Benji's got to do it, and I think he's showing good signs. In relation to Isaac and the Tigers, I don't know where it's at because I haven't asked in recent times. But last year, after the way Galvin left the joint, and he's blown the joint up previously too. Like, don't forget, back in the day when it was the big four, Mitchell Moses, Luke Brooks, Aaron Woods and Teddy, well, he had all of them back then. They've all since sort of splintered different ways now. But there was still a lot of hostility towards him off the back of that. So, but that's how he rolls. He does a good job for his clients. He gets some top dollar, sometimes a little bit of collateral damage along the way. Brandon, you look like you got something over there. What's going on?
Oh, no, I don't have anything really. But I think Jahream Bula is the perfect fullback for the Tigers, and I think they should be doing whatever they can to keep him. Initially, I thought 900K was a bit much for someone like Bula, who was unproven, had a bit of a quiet year last year. I thought he did bounce back towards the end of the year, but that's coincided with the Tigers bouncing back as well. So I think he's the perfect fullback for them and their system. Hopefully they can get a deal done. He has been rumoured to be in talks with the Dragons over the last week. So
that's correct.
They're looking at...
That's not a rumour. I don't know about talks, but certainly the Dragons are monitoring the situation. You got to be careful with talks these days because of the anti-tamping rules and all that sort of Panadol.
And I also think he'd be a good fit for them as well. So he's got some weighing up to do. And
so what's that mean for Gutho though?
Well, he'd be the long-term successor for Gutho. Gutho only has a year left after this year. So obviously, no, who knows, move him to 5'8", move him to the centres or whatnot. But he's got some weighing up to do. And if the Tigers just keep performing, then I don't see how he can leave a side that's doing so well like that under those circumstances. So Tigers fans, I wouldn't be worried. I'd be just backing the coach and just, rally.
900 for a quality fullback like that. Just do it.
It's nothing, especially given the new TV deal is going to come out. Just take the ratchets off or something.
I think the best thing the Tigers can do is continue to exhibit the style of footy that they did last Saturday at Leichhardt Oval. If they can build on that and they're winning games and the playing groups enjoying the camaraderie of each other's company, well, all of a sudden, that's a very good negotiating chip. Now, the enormous success of our top 5 wingers since the random selection of 1980 that we just pulled straight out of the Bula Pass last week. It went huge. It went bunter. It went Burko, whatever you want to call it. Matty left out his godfather, out his Shearer, out of his top 5. Highly controversial.
Utility back.
To be honest, that's why it exploded the way that it did on social media, because people just couldn't believe it. Apoplectic, shaking their heads, all that sort of jazz. But we're going to do the top 5 centres today. Centres have been in the headlines a lot this week. Same criteria, boys. We're going back to 1980. So that makes it, how long are we looking at, Brandon? 46 seasons? 46 seasons.
I didn't go back that far.
No, you got to. That's the criteria. So, look, I'll run through a number of names here, not in any particular order. You got the Pearl, Steve Renouf. What a player. Andrew Eddingshausen's one of the best defensive centres the game ever seen and could light it up as well.
Good looking too.
Mal Meninga, GI is a poster boy for the game, me too. Mal Meninga, Greg Inglis, Jamie Lyon, gun centre, come through as an 18-year-old out of Wee War in the bush. Stephen Crichton, Latrell, Mark Gasnier, Matty Cooper. That was that Red V combination. Matt Gidley, the Gidley flick. Tamana Tahu, he was often on the end of that Gidley flick, but he also spent a lot of time in the centres as well. Herbie Farnworth, at international centre at the Dolphins today. Steve Rogers, look, Sludge, I think, had retired by 1980, but he was one of the original princes of centres. By hell, he could play. Absolute genius. Reg Gasnier back in the day. Bob Fulton back in the day. They're not going to be considered because they didn't play prior to 1980. Joey Manu more recently. Brent Tate, did you have him in your top 5?
Had him as a winger, yeah.
Very good player.
Preferred him on
Tate.
the wing.
Very underrated player. I'll tell you what, this next bloke, he was a very good sledger. Will Chambers.
Oh, yeah.
Underrated player
He could
too.
throw him too.
But can fight and could also, I don't reckon I've heard a better sledger in all my time covering the game. He is in the top 3. We might do that next week, the top 5 sledgers of all time.
Okay.
And Josh Morris, I've got on the list as well. I will have left people out. I apologise. I just
I've got him
scrambled
covered.
that
Don't
list.
worry. I've got him covered.
Okay, very good. So, Matty, I'll throw the student to you.
Honourable mention, straight off the top, just for his fashion sense, Ben Pomeroy. Just for the skins.
Oh, the bike shorts.
Yeah, he loved the bike shorts. Just for the skins. An inspiration to us all around the 2006 era. Number 5. I've gone a bit left of field with these, and these are my favourites rather than my sort of all-time best ever. I've gone with favourites. Number 5, I've gone with Steve Bell. Steve Bell.
Wow, that's left field.
Yes. Melbourne and Manly. I think he was
Played for Queensland?
He did.
Yeah, of course he did. That's the
he played on the
criteria
wing
for
for
you.
Queensland, I think.
Yeah.
These aren't all Queenslanders, by the way.
Well,
I've gone with
shock.
Steve Bell. Very elusive player and very sort of understated in the way he went about his business. Number 4, we're talking sledges a second ago. Justin Hodges.
Oh, one of the best. Yeah.
Very, very good
He
Queensland.
could throw them too,
Yeah,
Hodjo.
he could. Yeah. I think he's done a bit of boxing since.
He has. He's very handy with
This
the gloves
guy
on.
can throw them, but he can throw coffees a little bit better. Ryan Girdler, number 3.
Girdler's grind.
I frequent Girdler's every morning for my coffee. And Intercept King, by the way.
He was the intercept king.
Number 2, Clinton Torpy. I reckon
wow.
between 2003 to 2005, I reckon he was pretty much the best, if not number 1. He was probably the best centre in the game, Clinton Torpy.
Dominant.
My number 1, Mark Gasnier. I've gone with Mark Gasnier. Shimmy, shimmy, voom, or whatever it was.
Shimmy, shimmy, whoosh.
Yeah, that's it. Mark Gasnier, easy selection for mine.
Right, I'm very excited about throwing the student now over to the bloke with one of the best names in this podcast, Raw Friend and Savage. Where are you going, Sav Dog?
Mine are more modern because I got into rugby
Hang on,
league.
that doesn't fit the criteria, right?
Yeah,
so
well,
the criteria is that's okay. You can qualify it with it's more modern, but the criteria is just for all the listeners and everybody who's watching on the YouTubes. The top 5 centers in the game dating back to 1980.
Yes,
He's appealing to younger viewers.
This is what I agree with. So tied at number 5. Nigel Vautin.
Hang on. Oh, stop you there. Tied.
Yes.
No.
I could
there's
split
no
these
tied.
two.
There's
Okay,
no tied.
Nigel Vautin.
Honourable mention. Who do you give the honourable mention to?
Or Michael Jennings. I'll go Nigel Vautin because I loved Nigel Vautin. 2004 Bulldogs. He was a try-scoring weapon. Number 4, I've got Josh Morris. Number 3, Latrell Mitchell. Number 2, Stephen Crichton. 2021 Premiership intercept, and he's come up with some massive moments in grand final history. Greg Inglis, number 1.
Very hard to argue. That's a very strong list.
Yes.
I think most people regard Critter as the best centre in the game today. Certainly GI's only recent retired. You're not going to have too many people arguing against that. I'm glad you brought up Josh Morris. He was underrated a lot of the time. Brett is remembered for his aerial acrobatics and his speed and his ability to finish. But I'll tell you what, Josh, there was a struck match between those two as players. Righto, I reckon you blokes have got no idea, fair dinkum. How have neither of you got Mal Meninga on your list, right? So Mal's number 1. I'll tell you what, whether he had the arm guard on or he didn't have the arm guard on, what a weapon.
I preferred him as a politician. That's just
a weapon, Big. Don't take the piss, mate. That's not, I'll tell you what, don't upset Mal.
No.
Do not, let me give you one tip. Do not upset Mal. You want to talk about who blokes that can throw them. I've heard some stories, but probably shouldn't go into these on this podcast or this forum. But let me just say, don't mess with the big bear, Big Mal. Number 2, I got GI. Self-explanatory. What a superstar of the game. Number 3, I've gone the Pearl, Steve Renouf. Lightning in a bottle, the Pearl. Great grand final try for the Broncos. And just an awesome fella too. Lucky enough, I've had a couple of cold drinks with the Pearl over the years, and mate, he is great company. A very, very cracking bloke. ET, Andrew Eddingshausen. You touched on it earlier, Matty, the pin-up boy for the game back then. Him and Junior Pearce. He gets a lot of raps for his defence, ET, and he was a total weapon. I think people have got this perception that he was a pretty boy. Mate, he could absolutely mince blokes, iron blokes out. Beautiful 45-degree angle chainsaw cut down. Very good fisherman, which puts him on this list as well. And then I got number 5, Stephen Crichton, the best modern-day centre in the game. So let's see what sort of reaction we get to that, boys, because I know the previous list of top 5 wingers went absolutely Burko. Absolutely off the charts. We're going to do comments, but I'll tell you what, we've dribbled for that long today. We've gone round the roundabouts and upside down and inside out and the roller coaster and everything, and it's been a lot of fun. We're going to do it all again, of course, tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, and we're here. So stay tuned. Enjoy your footy. Thank you, Matty. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all again tomorrow.
Cheerio.